Welcome to Bont Cycling. Today, we're going to teach you how to heat mold your shoes. Whether you just got a fresh new pair, or perhaps you've been riding Bont shoes, but you've never heat molded them, or there again, maybe you've had a pair of Bont shoes, you've heat molded them, but are finding that the fit is still not perfect. We're going to go over how to do that today. All right, we're ready to get things going. Let's talk about a couple things that we need first. Number one, you need an oven. Number two, we're gonna need a cookie sheet. Any size cookie sheet will do, as long as the shoes fit on the sheet. And then number three, a pair of cycling socks. We're gonna have them on our feet, ready to go. So when we pull the shoes out of the oven, we're gonna be able to put our feet in, start the molding process right away. If you're heat molding a pair of shoes that are fresh out of the box, the only thing you need to worry about is pulling out the insole. And if you're gonna heat mold a shoe that you've been using, make sure you uninstall the cleat and the hardware, along with remembering to pull out the insole. But before you take off that cleat, here's a little tip for you. Take a permanent marker and trace an outline around the perimeter of the cleat. That way when you're done heat molding, you can put the cleat back in the position that you originally had. Once everything has been taken off the shoes and insoles have been removed, we're gonna put them on the cookie sheet, place them in the middle of the oven rack for 20 minutes at 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius. All right, so while those are cooking in the oven, let's go get our socks on. That way we're ready to go. When we pull the shoes out, we can get the molding process started. Tighten down the shoes until they feel snug without over tightening. It is very important that you do not walk or flex the shoe during this process, which could possibly result in cracking the sole. Make sure the heels are pulled back in your shoe and you stand with the weight over the balls of your feet. All right, so we just stood in our shoes for 10 to 15 minutes, allowing the resin to harden and take shape of our foot. But before you go put those cleats on, let the shoe sit on the table without wearing them for 5 to 10 minutes. Come back to the shoe, try them on, tighten them down, and at this point, start to assess the fit. Is there something that's maybe pressing in too tight or maybe too loose? This is where we can then remold them again and really harness in on getting that perfect fit. All right, so you just went through the process of heat molding your shoes, but after trying them back on, you notice that there's a spot on the outside of your shoe that is still a little bit tight and you want to create some extra room. So I just pulled these out of the oven, which has softened the resin. We're gonna use the butt of a screwdriver to then push into the outside of that shoe and just slowly push evenly from the toe all the way to the outside, or wherever you feel pressure on your foot. I also noticed that the heel was just a little bit wide for me, so while I'm standing in the shoe and waiting for the resin to harden, I'm also going to take my hand and press inward on the heel, which is then going to help shape the heel of it so that I don't get any slip. Again, pulling your heels to the back of the shoe and standing with the weight over the balls of your feet. All right, so I've stood in the shoe for another 10 minutes, allowing the resin to harden, and I can really feel that extra space that we created using that screwdriver. Also, pulling in on the heel helped a little bit. But before I put my cleats on, I'm gonna let them sit for another 10 minutes. Come back, try them on, and see if there's anything else that needs to be fine-tuned. All right, so after a second molding and fine-tuning the fit, everything feels great. So I'm gonna go ahead and install my cleats. All right, now before installing your cleats, always be sure to use some waterproof grease on your threads to prevent any seizing. And then remember, before we took the cleats off, we traced around the perimeter so we know exactly where the cleat goes. All right guys, that's it. It's a simple process, and you've just successfully heat molded your Bont shoes. One of the best advantages of Bont shoes is that you can go through this heat molding process as many times as you like. So even if you've gone through the process once or twice, and you recognize that there's a spot in the shoe that could really use some more attention, throw them back in the oven and dial in that fit. I hope this tutorial was helpful, but if you have any further questions, reach out to our customer service and we'll make sure we get the answers to you right away. Thanks for watching.